Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request from Marc. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it for your kindness. Appreciate your patience. Sorry it took so long to do this. I'm trying to get the request as soon as I can, but I do apologize. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, whether it be a topic, reaction, commentary, review, re-review, random thoughts, streams, commentary, video game playthroughs, whatever the case, PayPal is usually the best way to go. I do have a Patreon and a CashApp for those interested, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. All those links are down below in the info box. But this is... the last time he requested was a Patriots documentary series, which I found very interesting. Although I don't watch sports a whole lot, I do find documentaries interesting. I do find this kind of stuff intriguing. And so this is the comeback about the 2004 Red Sox. Now, he did want me to review each episode individually, which I will do. So this will be about episode 1. But it's a 3-part documentary series where I don't know squat about baseball. I've watched a few movies on baseball. I like Field of Dreams. I like Major League. I'll try to think of other baseball films. I remember Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck. But of the sports, I love basketball. I just never had time to watch it anymore. But I do love basketball. Football I could deal with, but I never get time to watch it. Baseball, I always thought was boring as hell. I've tried watching it, and maybe like with a group of people, friends, a stream, I could do it, and that'd be fine. But on my own, it'd be... I don't know. I guess, to be fair, I haven't really tried it. So maybe don't, at least in a long time. Because the last time I tried was probably like 20 years ago. So I should knock it till I try it, that type of thing. But I did hear about the Red Sox and the curse of the Bambino, which they do talk about in episode 1, where they set it up that it's the Red Sox versus the Yankees, which are their bitter rivals. And at this point in 2004, they're at 0-3, meaning the Yankees won 3 games, they won 0, one more loss, and the Red Sox are gone. And this would mean they would have to win, because it's out of 7, they would have to win the next 4 games, which had never been done before. So that means they have to give this impossible task upon themselves where they have to win 4 games in a row against the number 1 team that's won tons of championships, and a team that it's been 86 years since the last championship was won, like the 1910s. And it explains the Sox versus Yankees rivalry and the curse of the Bambino, meaning back in the 1910s of baseball, they had won like 5 championships. In that 1900, 1910 era. Well, the Red Sox had Babe Ruth. Now, of course, I know Babe Ruth. I even seen a few films. There was one called The Babe with John Goodman, which I don't remember a single thing about. And it was referenced a lot in The Sandlot, many other movies. So he was with the Red Sox, but something happened, and they traded him to Yankees. And that's where Babe Ruth was with the Yankees. They started winning championship after championship after championship. And since then, the Red Sox could never get anywhere. And when they get close, there's always some kind of screw-up that happens. The Sox went to the 7th game World Series 4 times, and they lost each time. And they talked with Roger Clemens, which I've heard that name before. And they mentioned 1986. I did hear about this Bill Buckner. Because that, even a guy who doesn't know about baseball, I did know about the whole thing with Bill Buckner because it was like one of the biggest oh shit moments of baseball where the guy's trying to pick up the ball, it goes right between his legs. And if he had picked the ball, it would have been a different story, but I wonder if there's ever like a, not docu, I wonder if there's anything about that guy. Just the amount of hate. Actually, I don't even know if he's still alive. Is Bill Buckner alive? Because if he is, I would have liked to... Oh, no, he passed away 2019. Okay. So, 2019 he passed away. Okay. Well, that's too bad. I would say if he was alive, it would have been nice to hear from him. His thoughts looking at it now. So what happened was it just this ongoing, just, we hear a little bit from the fans. It would have been nice to hear a little bit more from the fans on the whole history of it. We hear a little bit from them though. And apparently in 2001, it gets sold and the owner's John Harry, I believe is how you pronounce it. All right. Because I was almost going to say John Henry. I'm like, no, not the Hammer guy. But one thing leads to another, and this general manager is this guy named Theo. And Theo is a much younger guy. In fact, I liked how, and I do like that people can curse in this. So people don't have to hold back in what they say. So Theo seems like a nice guy. He said, people looked at me and go, who the fuck is this young guy? Who the fuck is Theo? And they talked with a lot of people that was around that era that was on the team. They talked with Pedro Martinez. They talked with David Ortiz. Pedro Martinez was one of the pitchers, very famous pitcher. David Ortiz was a designated hitter who helped a lot in their wins. Kevin Millar, who I guess was with the Florida Marlins, and they had sold him to Japan. And then last minute, they wanted to get him from Japan, and apparently people in Japan who bought him were pissed. Like, hey, we bought him. And Kevin Millar, I liked him. He was my favorite guy, because I thought he was pretty funny. Because he was a guy who, kind of a blue-collar guy, later on he comes up with the term, cowboy up. What does that mean? Oh, I don't know, but, it sounds good, cowboy up. And in the third episode, he's the guy that really get the team, pumped up. And there's a reporter that says, you'll never do anything. You guys are frauds. He's like, oh, yeah, hey. He gets pissed at the reporter. You see a little bit of him kind of confronting the reporter. Oh, calling us frauds, huh? Well, we'll show you. That's kind of like that, which they did. Now, episode 1 is more about setting up what the curse of the Bambino was, where the Red Sox was, new management, and the 2003 season. And the 2003 season, where it seemed like it was going well, it seemed like they could do it. It seemed like this was their time, but of course, the curse, whatever, it doesn't quite work out. It was interesting watching this to see how baseball's a lot more intense than I thought. A lot more intense because you see throughout these 3 episodes like how many damn fights they would get on the field. I'm like, damn. Like I said, baseball's a lot more intense than I remember back in the day. Or, well, I guess this would be. I mean, this is 20 years later, so I guess it would have been back in the day. So I guess, to be honest, it's been more than 20 years since I tried to watch baseball. It was like when I was a kid, so I would say more 30 years. So damn, I missed out on the intensity of it. But yeah, a lot of the drama that was going on, them playing games, and what was it? There was this guy named Jeter, and oh, Roger Clemens. They're playing against the Yankees, and Roger Clemens hits Tim Millar, the guy that I said was from the Florida Marlins. The guy who's being pretty funny in the interviews. He just hit. So when he's going back, Pedro goes up and goes, "Who do you want, man?" Because I think he's like Dominican Republic. "Who do you want, man? Who do you want, man?" And Tim Millar's like, "What?" It's like, "Who do you want? Pick one. Who do you want?" And so he's like, I guess that guy. And he picked the guy who Pedro's now going to hit two. And he's like, "Well, you hit one of mine, I'm going to hit two of yours." So I didn't know it worked that way in baseball, but that was interesting to me. He's like, "You hit one of mine, I'm going to hit two of you, some bitches." Did he protect his team? And this is where Kevin Millar comes up with the term "cowboy up," and they talked with other people. There's a lot of people to try. I didn't know a baseball team just had that many players. Like they have like, it felt like every other 5 minutes there was like a new pitcher they had. I'm like, no, okay, they got that pitcher. I mean, how many fucking pitchers do they have on a team? Apparently a lot. There's there Pedro Martinez. There's Tim Wakefield. I know they did another guy later on. That's in the episode 2. They mentioned that. By the way, they get to the 2003. I call it kind of the semifinals, but it's the ALCS, and they're doing well. They lose 3 games, but they win 3 games. 10 Wakefield pitches, win game 1. During this, again, the pitchers are throwing at each other's players, so they're throwing at these players and they're throwing at these players, and the dugouts go out and it's empty and everyone's fighting everybody. I'm like, God damn. And then, like, the guy was like the big, I don't know, like coach. How do you want to put manager? Takes a swing at Pedro Martinez, like tries to drag him down, and Pedro kind of slams him down because Don Zimmer tried to punch him. He went up and tried to punch Pedro, and Pedro dodged it and just slammed him down in self-defense. But of course, that pissed off a lot of people in New York. Die, Pedro! Die, Pedro! Die, Pedro! I thought, like, while it's talking heads, they did have enough footage interjected in there so it didn't feel too boring or anything. They got 3-3, you know. But for some reason, the coach at the time of the Red Sox kept Pedro in. And he made the signal he was tired, but he didn't want to say no to his coach. I'm like, no, you should have said no to the coach. If you knew you didn't have any more, just tell him. Just be adamant about it. And then he was going slower because he was out of juice. They win, as in the Yankees win. Which, by the way, the Yankees, I believe, lost the World Series on that. So it's not like they went on to win the World Series. They still lost the World, but they still beat the Red Sox in these, as I call it, semifinals. I did like, I forget who it was, not Theo, but another guy saying, so when do we fire this coach? Do we fire him now or do we fire afterward? Otherwise, that made me laugh. I'm like, well, yeah, this seems like a very stupid, completely, utterly dumb decision. I can't really blame the higher-ups being pissed about that. And that's kind of how episode 1 ends, where they've lost the 2003 bit and kind of a setup for where the Red Sox are at this point. And I thought it was pretty entertaining. It went by fast. It was about an hour long, maybe an hour and 4 minutes long. It introduces who's going to be involved in the rest of the story for the other 2 parts. Yeah, it would have been nice to hear a little bit more about the precursor of the Curse of the Bambino, a little bit more in depth into maybe if players at that time and what they felt, like people who knew Bill Buckner. Like Bill Buckner passed away, but were there people that knew Bill Buckner and did they hear from him and what happened to him afterward? And granted, it had to be a bit longer, but I would not have minded like an extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the backstory of that and see if people at that time could be interviewed more so on that. Or maybe a little bit more with the fans. Or even the fans, like how do they feel about the... I thought we were going to hear a lot of... Because we hear fans at the beginning. I thought we were going to hear a lot more of them at the end of what the coach did, what he decided on. You hear like a little bit of audio, radio clips. But I would like to for a little bit more for the fans. Like, what do they think in retrospect? And yeah, he did deserve to get fired. Yeah, just... But these are like little 80 nitpicks, I guess. But overall, it was interesting so far. And I remember watching going, okay, now I'm curious what happens in episode 2. Which I will talk about in a little bit. Because I'll probably try to upload all these in the same time. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks once again to Mark. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.